Welcome along to Donington Park. We've got the opening round of the Woods Foodservice's Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup coming up for you, with qualifying having taken place this morning and qualifying setting the grid for both races that we'll see over the course of this afternoon. The fastest lap time sets this grid. Their second fastest lap time will set the grid for later on today. And we're also celebrating 40 years of Porsche Club racing. It was on the 20th of April 1984 at Snetterton, 40 years ago, that the Porsche Club had its first ever race. And here they are still with good grids of cars 40 years later. Let's guide you through the grid then. As they line up, it is going to be on the front row of the grid Wayne Gregory, who qualified on pole position. He did a part season back in 2023, and alongside him is going to be the car of Perry Darling. Row 2 of the grid is Darren King alongside the car of Ryan Chartis, and row 3 of the grid is where we see on the third row of the grid it is going to be Ben Grucock and Faye Noble-Evans. The fourth row of the grid is Sarah Thompson and Graham Hurd, and then as we move on to the next row of the grid, which is row number 5, it's Eric Bridges and William Kirtler that sit there on the next row of the grid. As we move on to then the next row, that is the number 46 car, which is going to be Matt Goff. He has got for company alongside him 22, which is Nick Wallace, out in a spare car because his blew the engine over the course of Friday's testing. Sarah Wood is next up, and for company she's got Craig Horvath, and then it's the number 61 car of Nick Lawrence, who has got David Hussey for company as well. And the final row of the grid is Mike Kirtler and the number 68 car, which is going to be Martin Mason. That's the way that they qualified after this morning. And there might be a couple of gaps on the grid because there was a red flag during the qualifying session this morning, which just took a while to clear up whatever had happened out on circuit. But we've got two 25-minute races to look forward to over the course of the day, with the Boxster Cup next out on circuit after this one. It's going to be sort of 5 o'clock this evening. Still chilly though, nice clear skies, but the ambient temperature is quite cold out there, so the engines will like that with denser air, but it does mean that the tyres probably won't, because there's more work for the tyres to do to try and get up to temperature. It's the opening round of the championship. They'll go to Brands Hatch, to Alton Park, to Anglesey, to Croft in North Yorkshire, back to Donington Park on the Grand Prix circuit, and finish the season at Snetterton on the 300 circuit. So it's a busy season for them in these Porsche Boxster Cup cars, which are all running in exactly the same class. We ought to say that Barrington Darcy, having his first ever race, is there on the grid, and also ought to say happy birthday to Darren King. It's his birthday today as well. So Wayne Gregory starting from pole position, and let's see what he might be able to do. Can he get the jump on Scott Evans that will line up alongside him? As when lights go out, which they will do once we get the green flag at the tail end of the field. And then let's have a quick look. So green flag at the tail end of the field, red lights will be coming on any second now, and when the lights go out they drop the clutch, press the accelerator, and Scott Evans from the outside of the front row of the grid looks as though he's got a reasonably good start. Has he? No, it's not Scott Evans on the outside of the row, that's Perry Darling that's on the outside of the row, I should say, and he's going to go through and ahead of Wayne Gregory. So Perry Darling from the outside of the front row of the grid picks up the lead of the race from Wayne Gregory, who drops down into second position, and third at the moment, that's Ryan Charters that's there in third place, I believe, at this stage, with Darren King sitting there in fourth position, and we'll try and pick out who's there in fifth as they all descend down in towards the old hairpin for the first time this season in the Woods Foodservice's Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup. Few cars off the tail end of the field, only just getting going now, but the main pack of cars already heading up into the braking area for McLean's for the first time, and it's Perry Darling that leads the way at this stage, the man who finished 5th in the championship last year, looking to see whether he can break away in the lead of the race, but there'll be plenty of others that have other ideas about that one, and first of which is Wayne Gregory, who's still sitting firmly with him as they went up towards Coppice Corner for the first time. So out of Coppice, you can see the lead two just breaking away a little bit from Ryan Charters, who sits there in third position. Fourth looks as though it's Darren King that's there in fourth place, and fifth at the moment I think might be Ben Grucock that's there in fifth position, which is where he started on the grid, so he's not as yet made any progress. For the lead of the race though, Wayne Gregory coming back at Perry Darling as they come over the start finish line, can't quite draw himself alongside, so now switches back to see whether he can prise the door open on the inside line going in towards Redgate, but that's not quite going to work. Perry Darling still hanging on to it at this stage, so accelerating their way onto the top of Hollywood. Faye Noble-Evans runs a little bit wide in sixth place in the black and pink car as she tries to get right up onto terms with Ben Grucock. And from the lead two breaking away, it's sort of become a trio, hasn't it? And diving up the inside, place gain for Ryan Charters there. Wayne Gregory didn't really put up a great deal of defence there, actually. The man who started from pole position down into third place now, with that move from Ryan Charters sneaking his way through. And for Perry Darling, he'll be quite happy if they squabble over second, third, fourth, fifth, which is what they're doing at the moment, that he might just be able to escape their grasp and disappear up the road. So up towards Coppice Corner, Perry Darling trying to... Wayne Gregory trying to sneak back up the inside of Ryan Charters. That didn't work, and now for Ryan Charters, that now means he's dropped back into the clutches of Darren King at the wheel of the largely silver and black number 17 car. So on towards a braking area for the Roberts chicane. 6 really now fighting for the lead of the race, but it is still Perry Darling that leads the way. Ryan Charters up into second place. It's going to be then Wayne Gregory, the pole sitter, down into third. On the outside of him trying to cover is Darren King. Darren King is going to get the overlap on the way out of the corner. I don't think so. Then it's the yellow and black car of Ben Grucock with Fane Noble Evans next up. But the top 6 are pretty much together as they head down through the Craner curves on lap number 3 at the moment. So it's a long gap back to the car that's there in 7th place, about 4 seconds back. And we're going to have a change of the lead here, are we? Because Ryan Charters has almost prized the door open on Perry Darling to try and pick up the lead of the race. Is he going to have his nose ahead by the time they get up towards McLean's corner? No, he's back behind again. So Perry Darling, by the skin of his teeth, hangs on to the lead of the race. The car that's 4th in the queue of these at the moment has set the fastest lap on the first of the flying laps, which is the car of Darren King. That's the car that's sort of part silver, part black, and running in 4th position at this stage. Noble Evans is at the tail end of this train of 6 cars and has just dropped off a little bit from them at the moment, so it's almost becoming 5 cars for the lead of the race. We're side by side for 2nd and 3rd place. Ryan Charters coming back under pressure from the pole sitter Wayne Gregory, but he can't do anything about it in towards the Robert chicane, so they get themselves back towards being single file, and Wayne Gregory will try and concentrate on the exit of the corner to see whether he can do anything about it on the run up towards Redgate, which again he almost is in a position to draw himself alongside, but can't quite get there in time before they run out of Wheatcroft Straight. So the top 3 still remain as were: Perry Darling, Ryan Charters, then the car of Wayne Gregory, and then after that it will be Darren King still fighting away with Ben Grucock, and Fane Noble Evans, who had dropped away a little bit, is now right back there again in 6th place at the wheel of the largely black and pink number 20. So 6 as 1 down in towards the old hairpin. Running on her own in 7th place at the moment is number 90, which is Sarah Thompson. Then it's Eric Bridges that's next up at the wheel of the number 38 car. 9th is going to be 99, which is Graham Hurd. Completing the top 10 is number 72, which is Mike Kirtland. So that's the order of the top 10 currently. Championship points go all the way down to 19th position in this one. So it's 25 points for a win, 21 if you're second, 18 for third, extra point for pole position, extra points for fastest laps. And at the moment, the fastest lap is in the hands of Darren King, who sits there in what will be 4th position. But I think Perry Darling this time through might take the fastest lap away from him, because Perry Darling, the race leader, has just done absolute best through the 1st sector, absolute best through the 2nd sector. And as he comes over the start-finish line now to complete the lap, new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 21.575 from Perry Darling. That's why the lead advantage has just stretched a little bit. Just getting a quick replay, and that is a significant engine failure, and we'll pick up on what that car is. I think that might be William Kirtland's car, which will be the number 36 car that's puffing out some smoke. It stopped doing it now, though, all of a sudden. But you can see the telltale signs of whatever went wrong there for William Kirtland's car. So 36 still continuing round at the moment, but that was a worrying cloud of smoke that was coming out the back of that car, and all seems to be well again now, which is rather unusual. Pressing on and actually overtaking cars. Back to the race leaders. Well, they're all working their way up towards Coppice Corner. You can see Perry Darling, with that new fastest lap of the race, has just started to gap those behind now, so he's nearly a second up the road from this battle that's going on for 2nd place. Ryan Charters still hanging on to 2nd position despite the very best efforts of the pole sitting car of Wayne Gregory. Say Wayne only did a part season last season. It's good to see him back out behind the wheel of a car and going well as well. And are we going to have a change for fourth? Yes, we do, as Ben Grucock sneaks up the inside of Darren King, and Faye Noble Evans tries to prise the door open as well to make her way through. So they've got themselves into sort of batches of 3 at the moment. Right, Wayne Gregory up the inside of Ryan Charters to try and steal second place. Is he going to do it at Redgate? No, can't quite make it stick. So still remains in 3rd position at this stage. Having taken up 4th place, Ben Grucock is now looking to try and join in the fun with the lead trio and has started to pull away from Darren King. So they head downhill in towards the old hairpin. This is lap number 6, 17.5 minutes of the race still to go at this stage. And then start to thread their way back up past the smoke, which is slowly disappearing. In fact, that may well be, by the look of things, a little bit of cement dust also, possibly, was it? Because there was another car there that was smoking at exactly the same point. So maybe it's just dust that's going up into the air. Difficult to tell from the camera angle there. So Perry Darling still leading the way. The lead advantage that was a second is now just down to half a second again all of a sudden. And that's because Ryan Charters is trying to push hard to get himself back onto the coattails of the race leader. He hasn't got to defend to the same degree from Darren King in the 3rd place car anymore, the blue car with the gold stripe down the side of it. And Darren King will also be needing to just keep an eye on his mirrors to see what the number 86 car Ben Grucock is doing, because Ben is, I think, slowly edging up towards him. We'll compare the lap times between the pair of them next time through. Yes, absolutely he's edging up towards him, because the car of Ben Grucock, which is the yellow and black car in 4th place, has just set the fastest lap of the race we've seen so far, 1 minute 21.077. It's also traffic that needs dealing with before too much longer. And I think that would be David Hussey's car that hopefully will not compromise the run down through the Craner curves. David sees them coming and is going to try and stay out of harm's way at the wheel of the number 64 car. Blends out of the throttle, lets the lead 3 go through before the old hairpin, but then at some point he's got to turn in. So that might just delay Ben Grucock subtly in 4th place before he can get back on the gas and clear the traffic, which he has done, but I think he's done it and lost a place because Darren King has gone back through by the look of things. So yeah, Ben Grucock was in 4th. He's back down into 5th place again because the number 17 has snuck through the traffic. So he's not going to be able to join the lead trio, which a few laps ago was looking as though it's going to be the case, and now he's dropped down into 5th position. He needs to be careful it doesn't drop down into 6th place, because Faye Noble Evans is again right on his heels. Ryan Charters in 2nd place is still feeling the pinch, isn't he, from the pole sitter Wayne Gregory. So a pair of them out of the Robert chicane over the start-finish line. There'll be some more traffic up the road that they'll need to deal with before too much longer. I think that's Nick Lawrence at the wheel of the number 61 car that's next up. But they'll not need to worry about that until at least half the way around this lap. So out of Redgate corner. First 10 minutes have now elapsed. 15 minutes of the race to go. So we're 2/5 of the way through. And Perry Darling is just starting to build that lead advantage again. It went from nearly a second down to 0.4 of a second. It's back to a second again now. Still with Ryan Charters in the red car sitting there in 2nd place. The blue and gold car of Wayne Gregory, the number 53, in 3rd place. A little bit off them is Darren King's number 17 car. Ben Grucock still there in 5th place, and Faye Noble Evans is not that far away from him, still in 6th place. Good to see Faye back out. She was 3rd in the championship last year. And further down through the order, we've still got some squabbles going on as well. This is going to be for something like 14th and 15th position, I think that will be, which is going to be Craig Horvath trying to keep Sarah Wood at bay. Those two pretty much matched for pace. They were just half a second adrift of each other as they came over the start-finish line last time through. So that's the one good thing about the Foodservice's Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup, is that there's always somebody to race with. So they head onto the top of the Craner curves, 2 similarly liveried cars. But it's Craig Horvath that still just has the advantage, the number 25 car, over the 24 that sits behind, which is Sarah Wood. Craig's car is more sort of yellow towards the front, isn't it? Black towards the tail end than Sarah's, which is the opposite way round. And as they then head up towards McLean's corner, our race leaders are already part of the way around the next lap. So 8 laps completed. New fastest lap of the race went last time through to the car in 4th place again, so that's the silver and black number 17 car in the hands of Darren King. 1 minute 20.919 from him as he closes the gap up to just 1.1 seconds between himself and 4th and the 3rd place car, which is the pole sitter Wayne Gregory, who's still bottled up behind Ryan Chartis. Just can't work his way through and past it at the moment. He's trying to get a better exit coming out of Coppice Corner. Can he get himself alongside? No, he can't. He ducks back behind again, and then he's just going to weave around to try and distract Ryan Chartis. And this time he's going to try and brake as late as he possibly can in towards the Robert chicane, but still can't quite wiggle his way through. Now that they're squabbling, it's going to slow up 2nd, it's going to slow up 3rd, and it's going to bring ever more Darren King back into the mix, and also Ben Grucock in the yellow and black car, and Faye Noble Evans in the black and pink car with its lights on at the background of the shot. There's also traffic as well that they need to consider, because I think the next couple of cars that they're going to catch before too much longer are those 2 cars that are battling over 14th and 15th place, which is Craig Horvath and Sarah Wood are the next 2 that are going to get caught by the leading train. Now, last time we had another new fastest lap of the race. Remember, it doesn't set the grid, the finishing positions for this one, or fastest lap times or anything. It's purely done on their 2nd fastest qualifying time, but a fastest lap does give you an extra championship point, and that's now swung back in the direction of Perry Darling, the race leader. 1 minute 20.517 from him last time through. Now, traffic just up the road. This could be the opportunity for Wayne Gregory. Squabbling back markers, so I think Sarah Wood will be the first that they meet, and they meet her right the way through the middle section of Coppice Corner. Perry Darling is trying to squeeze his way through and past Craig Horvath, which he will be able to do before the braking area for Roberts. But where is the squabble for 2nd and 3rd going to meet that back marker? It's going to be on the exit of Roberts, so that is less than ideal for Ryan Chartis, because he might not be able to get on the throttle as early as he would wish. He's got Wayne Gregory right with him, and the big gainer through the traffic was the number 17 car in the hands of Darren King, who is now fully up onto terms with the pair fighting over 2nd and 3rd place. And Darren King has good momentum here. Is he going to try the outside at Redgate? No, he might try the switchback though on Wayne Gregory. No, he's still braving out around the outside, runs over the curbs on the exit of the corner. The big loser in the traffic, I think, now was poor old Faye Noble Evans, who is only now just threading her way through and past the first of those back markers. She remains in 6th, but has just lost a chunk of time, as with 10 minutes to go, down through the old hairpin for the 11th time, goes Perry Darling in the lead of the race, a race which he now leads by almost 1.6 seconds. So up towards McLean's Corner. Schwantz curved a little kink just before it, before you then head in towards the right-hander at McLean's. Still Ryan Charters hanging on to 2nd place. Wayne Gregory trying every trick that he knows at the moment just to see where he might have an advantage. So he might be just sort of sizing up where he's got the advantage over Ryan Chartis, or where Ryan Chartis maybe isn't quite as quick and might not necessarily use it as yet, because if he overtakes now, of course, he's then got 10 minutes potentially of defending to do. So keep your powder dry is one possibility, but for Wayne Gregory, ideally he wants to try and get through and past this car to see whether he can then hunt down the race leader Perry Darling, who's still not that far up the road. So the top 6 altogether you can see on the Wheatcroft straight, but there's a 1.6, nearly 1.7 second advantage between Perry Darling. And is this the move for Wayne Gregory? He came from a little bit closer that time to try and see whether he could sneak through and ahead of Brian Charters, but Brian Charters is late on the brakes as he possibly could, and is still not at all happy to give up 2nd place, so still hanging on to it. Wayne Gregory's still there in 3rd place, and now we've got 3 cars fighting over 4th, 5th and 6th again at the moment, which is Darren King fighting away with Ben Grucock, and then Faye Noble Evans not that far off as well. So Perry Darling's missing out on the fun here, leading with that gap, and that's exactly what he wants really. He doesn't want to be embroiled in a squabble, he just wants to try and maintain the gap that he's got. The cars behind last time through lapped about 1/10 of a second slower than him, so he's slowly just eking out that amount of daylight between himself and the squabbling pair behind. Ryan Chartis looked as though he wasn't quite as quick in towards Coppice Corner as Wayne Gregory. You don't need to be quick into the corner, it's quick coming out that you need to do, so slow in, fast out is not a bad strategy if that's what Ryan Chartis is looking to do. Wayne Gregory is continually moving the car around to try and distract Ryan Chartis, but there's no chink in the armour at the moment. 8.5 minutes to go, over the start-finish line they work their way, still pretty much 6 together, isn't it, for the lead of the race. Now Faye Noble Evans in the background of the shot is looking to see whether she can get through and past Ben Grucock here, but Ben is able to defend. Fay Noble Evans then is going to try and take a nice wide sweep in towards Redgate corner and see if she can get on the power and carry good momentum off it and up towards Hollywood and down through the Crane of Curves. And it looks as though that's exactly what she's done. Is she going to be able to draw herself alongside? No, she tucks back behind Ben Grucock. And for the moment, whether she likes it or not, will have to be content with 6th position. So through the old hairpin, 12 laps already completed. Perry Darling still with the fastest lap of the race. All of the cars running controlled Pirelli P0 Trofeo tyres. They're limited to a maximum of 2 sets of tyres, 4 front and 4 rear, over the course of a season. So tyre management is also a bit of a strategy that you need to play over the course of a full season in the Porsche Classics Boxster Cup. Now the lead trio just seems to have strung out a little bit now. Perry Darling has got enough of a gap between himself and Ryan Charters so as not to worry, but Ryan Charters now equally as much has dispensed with some of the hassle he was getting from Wayne Gregory behind. Wayne was 0.3 of a second back from the red car in second place at the start of this lap. Now Ryan Charters is on for possibly his best lap of the race so far. No, slightly slower than his best lap of the race so far, but was 0.3 quicker than the race leader on that lap. So the gap first to second is down to 0.8 of a second. The gap second to third is down to 0.5 of a second. And then the gap third to fourth is down to 0.7 of a second. Whilst Ben Grucock and Fay Noble Evans are still busy squabbling the pair of those in 5th and 6th places. They're just a little bit of drift of this 4-car train for the lead now. So through the old hairpin, with 6.5 minutes to go, there should be time for at least probably another 3-4 laps, one would have thought, by the time they get up towards the start-finish line next time through. Turning their way for the 14th time through McLean's corner. And all of a sudden, Wayne Gregory is starting to come back at Ryan Charters again. He had dropped away. On this lap, he was 1/10 of a second quicker through the first sector. They're both getting caught by the 4th place car, which is the number 17 car now of Darren King, who set an absolute best first sector, better than anybody has done in the race so far. So 6 minutes to go. The gaps that were opening up are now starting to close up again. Perry Darling did have a handsome looking lead, didn't he? Now it's down to less than a Boxster length by the time they head through the Robert chicane this time through, and Perry Darling is under pressure for the lead of the race all of a sudden. There's traffic just up the road that needs dealing with. Ryan Charters hasn't got enough momentum, I don't think, to sneak through on the inside of Redgate corner. Perry Darling has got him covered off anyway, but Perry can't afford to compromise his exit speed coming off the corner, and now they're all slowing each other up, which is allowing Wayne Gregory good momentum. Side by side for the lead of the race. This is the opportunity for Ryan Charters to try and squeeze his way through. He's on the inside line for the first part of the Crane of Curves. That's the outside line for the second part, but it gives him the inside line when they get down towards the old hairpin, and he goes through to pick up the lead of the race. So Ryan Charters now leads the way. Perry Darling in second place. Wayne Gregory in 3rd position. All of a sudden, they've all bunched back up again with traffic just up the road they need to deal with. And with in 4th place, Darren King, the number 17 car, now beginning to close in as well. 5 minutes of the race to go. And for our newly acquired race leader, Ryan Charters, he can't afford to get caught up behind the traffic, which I think is William Kirtland's car. So William should move neatly out of the way, one would have thought. Yeah, good driving by William. Saw them coming, indicated immediately so that they knew he was going to pull to the right-hand side, and that's really good driving from the back marker there, just to get out of harm's way. He could see that it was 4 cars closing on him. He'd have known it was probably for the race lead, and he doesn't want to get involved in upsetting what is a brilliant battle for the lead of the race. They're lapping in about 1 minute 20s at the moment. Wayne Gregory set the fastest lap of the race last time through with 1 minute 20.073. That is not bettered this time through. But for 2nd, 3rd and 4th place, they're all together. Perry Darling under pressure for 2nd from Wayne Gregory. Wayne Gregory in the blue and gold car has also got the number 17 car of Darren King trying to draw himself alongside. Darren got a good run coming out of Redgate corner, but you saw the little flash of the brake lights there briefly where he realised that if he'd stuck his nose up the inside there, the gap was going to close. So for the moment, has little choice but to just sit there in 4th position. Fay Noble Evans is there in 5th place now, and Ben Grucock has now dropped to 6th position on that lap at the wheel of the yellow and black car. So Fay Noble Evans gaining a place. Now, they're on lap number 16 currently. When they get over the start-finish line next time through, I still think there'll be enough for the lap they're starting, and possibly 2 more thereafter. We'll have to wait and see. Out of Coppice corner, there'll be more traffic to deal with before too much longer, which I think might be Nick Wallace, whose son James Wallace is racing in Porsche Carrera Cup GB this year, having previously raced in British GT and GT Cup in Mercedes GT3 cars. And actually for Nick, it's a different car to he was expecting to race. The engine went in testing on Friday morning, I think it was Thursday/Friday, so he's jumped into one of the Rint cars and is driving that for the first time. Right, lots of traffic to deal with as well. There is Nick Wallace, he is the next car that's going to get caught. Now for Ryan Chartis, I think the back markers have aided his cause actually. They're trying to stay out of the way as best they can, but for Perry Darling, for Wayne Gregory and for Darren King, this little trio charging their way down through the Craner curves, it hasn't interrupted their little squabble at this stage, largely because the back markers were very good at getting out of their way. Are they going to be as good at getting out of the way of Ryan Chartis? The difficulty when you're the race leader, you're the first person to catch the back markers, and if they're squabbling, they don't necessarily see you there. It does look as though Ryan Chartis is safely through the next little bit of traffic. Perry Darling's going to have to go around the outside at McLean's corner to deal with one little bit of traffic, but that might allow Wayne Gregory the opportunity to have a nibble on the run up towards. Oh, there's contact further back, and yeah, Wayne Gregory was trying to get through the traffic, and himself and Nick Wallace have come together up at Coppice Corner. Damage to both cars. Wayne Gregory, I think, trying to drag his way back out of the gravel trap, but Nick Wallace, I'm afraid, is going no further in this race with less than 2 minutes to go. That shuffled the order through the traffic, so Ryan Charters will still lead the way. Perry Darling will be second, but Darren King in the number 17 car is now up into third position, and I think that will move Faye Noble Evans up into fourth, Ben Grukup up into fifth. So into the gravel trap remains Nick Wallace. Still more traffic to deal with. That's the number 68 car of Martin Mason that's now trying to move out of harm's way. You can see the novice cross on the back of his car, suggesting that he's not done the requisite number of races yet to get the signatures on his licence. 6 that you need before you can remove it. And there, walking rather disconsolately away from his damaged Porsche, I'm afraid to say, is Nick Wallace. And also just confirmed at the end of that lap, Wayne Gregory did come into the pit lane, so clear there's enough damage on his pole-sitting car that was also involved in that incident that he's had to bring the car into the pits and no doubt into retirement as we head now into the final 60 seconds of this race. Ryan Chartis leading now by 2 3/4 seconds as a result of all of that. The localised yellow flags will remain up at Coppice Corner. So there's no overtaking up at that point of the circuit, but for Ryan Chartis, he's built the advantage now through the traffic, got the break just when he needed it, took the lead just when he needed it, and there shouldn't be any looking back from here in reality. So he's heading on to his final lap of the race this time through, and could well be on course to scoop up win number 1 of the season in round number 1 of the Woods Food Services Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup for this year. Perry Darling still there in second place. It's still Darren King on the number 17 car that's there in third place. Faye Noble Evans is in fourth place. They're close to each other for second, third and fourth, but not quite close enough to do anything at Redgate Corner. We'll keep an eye on what happens to the relative gaps between them all in the background, because there may well still be an opportunity or two. Yeah, that opportunity won't come at Coppice because of the localised yellow flags, but it could still come on the run down in towards the Roberts chicane, or as we've already seen with some of the other racing we've had here at Donington Park this weekend, it could be the sprint to the line that could offer up an opportunity, but for the moment they're all just a bit too far away from each other to worry about that. So for the final time round through McLean's corner comes Ryan Chartis. He's given away about 0.2 of a second through the first sector of the lap to Perry Darling, who is still pushing hard at this stage. But again, the top 4 not quite close enough to each other. Now there's more traffic up the road that needs dealing with. David Hussey, I think, moves well and truly out of harm's way again, sees them coming, doesn't want to get involved. Good driving, and it looks as though Ryan Chartis is on course to secure win number 1 in round number 1 of the championship. So over the start finish line, clock is at 0. Ryan Charters comes through to win the opening round of the Woods Food Services Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup here at Donington Park. Perry Darling finishes in second position, with Darren King coming through in third place. Faye Noble Evans in fourth, and Ben Grukup will complete the top 5 at this stage. Should be Graham Hurd that will finish in 6th position, one would have thought. He is yet to take the checkered flag, such as the advantage that the top 5 had over everybody else. But for Graham Hurd, yes, he comes through to finish in 6th place, but only just. He got Sarah Thompson not that far behind him, I don't think. In fact, no, that was the yellow car that was driven elsewhere through the order. So Sarah Thompson only now just coming through to take the checker flag and finish in 7th place. But for Ryan Charters, might not have led all of the race, but he took the lead late on in it from Perry Darling. And then through the traffic, he was able to meet the traffic in the right places, and they were just enough and kind enough to him to allow him to build what was a 2-second advantage in the end to claim the opening win of the season. Of course, they'll be back out later on as well, so we hope that Nick Wallace and Wayne Gregory can get their cars repaired and sorted by their respective teams and back out for the second race later on today. That's scheduled to take place, the second of the Boxster Cup races, around about just after 5 o'clock, so about 5:05 I think we'll be going live. So let's confirm then the results for the first race of the 2024 Boxster Cup Championship season. Ryan Charters claims the win from Perry Darling in 2nd place, and Darren King completes the podium. Faye Noble Evans was 4th, ahead of Ben Grucock in 5th place, and Graham Hurd completes the top 6. Sarah Thompson was there in 7th place, 8th place was Matt Goff, 9th place was Eric Bridges, and completing the top 10 was number 72, which was Mike Kirtler. Then as we head outside of the top 10, the second member of the Kirtler family, which was Will Kirtler, finished in 11th place. 12th place went the way of Craig Horvath, with Sarah Wood in 13th, Wayne Gregory in 15th. 16th went the way of Martin Mason, and in 15th place. 16th place was Nick Lawrence. 17th place was the last of the finishers, which was David Hussey. And of course, we lost Nick Wallace into the gravel trap up there at Coppice Corner, and we also had problems for the pole sitter Wayne Gregory, who will be classified as a finisher in 14th place, but will have work to do to get his car back out for later on today. So thanks for joining us for the opening round of the Woods Foodservices Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup here at Donington Park. We'll be back with you around about 5 o'clock-ish this afternoon for race 2. Until then, it's goodbye.